There we go. I think we are live. We should be live. Let me know if we guys are live. I was enthusiastic in the chat, but I think I might have to redo that again or repeat that again. I think we are live yet. Yes, awesome. Yay. Okay. Now, all right. So thank you so much. I have been yapping about how excited we are already in the chat, and Madeline has signaled me that we weren't live, but um now that we are, hello again, everyone. So welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from all over across the globe. Madeline's gonna hear me say this twice again. But for those who are new here, we are Etchr Studio, and we're an art learning platform, and we've worked with art teachers from across the globe. So we do classes and live demos such as these, wherein we prove to you that it doesn't take a whole lot of time for you to make art. And that is why we have Madeline with us today to show you something amazing that you can do in just a few minutes of your time. So yeah, I know you guys are really excited, but before we begin, I've dropped the link to the reference photo earlier that we are going to be using, but if in case you need that, I am dropping that in the chat. And in case you are not able to watch the whole complete session during the live, that is okay. After this live will end, you can refresh the link and then it'll load the recording right away. And so I guess that is it for me for today. You just need your watercolor materials. Madeline's going to explain to her process, her materials as well. And make sure to stick till the end because we're going to be doing a giveaway of an everyday square sketchbook. So it's the white one that has like a square proportion. So it's really, really cool sketchbook. So make sure you stick till the end. And with that, I'm going to hand the floor to Madeline so that she can introduce herself and get us started. So Madeline, it's all you.
Hi, I'm Madeline. I'm a watercolor artist in Los Angeles. Sorry, let me make sure there's no feedback. Okay, hopefully there's no echoing.
Yep, you're good.
I'm good. I hear myself.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay. So this is one of my favorite sketchbooks. It's the Perfect limited edition sketchbook. It's one of my favorites. I love all of Etchr's sketchbooks, but one thing that I really do enjoy painting is light. And so that's what we are going to be painting today. I have the one that I will be painting with you guys in the other screen. So that's what I'm going to be using. And then I'm going to get my desk set up really quickly.
And while Madeline's doing that, can you tell us a little something about what you do for those who are new as well here? So I've dropped in Madeline's Instagram link in case you're wondering what else Madeline does, in case you're curious. Yeah, so that's pretty much the link right here.
Let me know when I can start.
Yeah. I'm gonna switch the camera from here to here. There we go. So what do we have here, Madeline?
Okay, so sorry, I still hear feedback on my end. Okay, so I'm going to start off by wetting my background.
And
And
we're
my,
using, sorry.
go ahead.
Oh, I guess for those who are just joining, we're using a standard square sketchbook, but in the meantime, in case you need just anything, grab any watercolor paper would do. And Madeline's using a big flat brush to cover the whitewash, and then she's got her own set of palettes as well. So yeah. Hey.
So I am starting wet on wet. That's my favorite way to sort of get my really loose skies. And when I'm painting light, I like to start with a warm yellow. And if you guys saw the reference, there's kind of like a sunspot, kind of like right here. And I kind of just leave a little bit of the white kind of open like that. And then I'm going to grab some pinks to sort of transition.
And this is with like a really light wash, like load of paint as well, right? I would notice that this is like really faded. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the wet on wet sort of like softens the colors a bit too.
Hmm.
And then so I'm
And
going, go ahead.
for those who are trying to follow along, could you also let us know what colors you're using? Yeah.
Yes. So the first yellow is a yellow ochre and it's like a warmer yellow. And then now I'm picking up a little bit of opera and I'm mixing it in with like a pastel pink that I have um, from my handmade paints.
For your handmade paints, do they come in like really opaque, like come in really strong?
So a lot of the like in my opinion, the more like brand name paints kind of have like more single pigment colors. And so I like handmade paints because a lot of times they will use like white with it to make more pastel colors. So some of them, the more pastel colors are pretty like opaque, yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Oh, and how would you deal with this in a situation, for example, where the paper is kind of like drying quickly? Because especially
Hmm.
for like good quality paper, sometimes it tends to like sip in water too
Yes.
quickly, or it does not happen. Yeah.
So the type of paper that you use for these kinds of washes like makes a huge difference. And I do personally, I think sketchbook wise, this perfect paper by Etchr is like my favorite. Um, you definitely want to work with 100% cotton paper. A lot of times, like if you're not paying super attention, the paper in a lot of sketchbooks is like cellulose paper, which sometimes doesn't hold water as long. It'll dry up a little bit faster. That's just what I've noticed in my opinion. So definitely look for 100% cotton paper, whether it's a sketchbook or not.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
So that's kind of like the base layer for me. I'm going to switch over to a round brush. And if you feel like the layer is drying, you can just introduce more paint. Um, if you do it kind of before you get those like wet streak, the dry streaks, I mean, it usually can even things out. That makes sense. Like if you feel the paper starting to dry, you can just kind of go over it with more paint and it'll um, wet it again and then you can keep working. Once it starts to dry, you won't get like that soft gradient as easily.
For sure. Yeah. And I would presume that it took you a lot of like practices to master the right time to kind of drop the paints and what do you call this? The stage of drying in
Yeah.
which the paper is. Yeah.
It's, yeah, good paper
People are
helps.
saying, sorry, people are saying that they love it already, that it's so pretty.
Oh, thanks, guys. Okay. So if you looked at the reference, there are some, I don't know what like they're actually called. I like to call them like wheat wispies. I don't know what in real life they're called, but they're like those little plants. So some of them are kind of like blurry. So I'm gonna do a few while my paper is still wet. I'm gonna switch over to a liner brush. And I'm gonna grab the purple that I used and the pink, the opera. And I've kind of mixed like a darker pink. And while the paper's wet, this is gonna kind of be blurry. And so this will feel like it's in the background.
Ooh, people are talking about how you've layered in like a lot of layers already, but the sketchbook doesn't seem to warp. Is it actually the case with
Yeah,
the
so
paper? Yeah.
yeah, it hasn't warped and I haven't even like pinned it down. Um,
Oh
that's how
yeah.
much how much I like this sketchbook.
Oh. Do you have like a preference in terms of proportion of sketchbooks? Because we've got like sketchbooks in portrait, in landscape, in square sketchbooks. I guess we're just wondering where you often use the square ones.
So I think square is my favorite in terms of like aspect ratio. I think right now you guys have the perfect in like the landscape, correct? And then this was like a limited edition square. So I snatched that up. But I mean, you guys are releasing sketchbooks like every week. So I was like, I'm campaigning for more perfect sketchbooks in different sizes. Okay, I'm gonna dry this layer off. So I'm gonna mute to make
Okay,
sure.
no problemo.
Okay, I'm
And
gonna mute this one. I think my other one should be muted, right?
yes,
Maybe you
the
can.
face camera is muted. Yep,
Okay.
but there we go. Just muted this one. All right. And while Madeline's doing that, I'm going to drop her Instagram link again in case you are interested to tag her. If in case you're following along and you want to tag her later on, if your beautiful creations. And if you're curious about the sketchbooks that Madeline was talking about, how we're releasing a lot every week, we're sorry, but we aim to please. Here is the link to our Etchr sketchbooks. Yeah, so feel free to follow along. And if you aren't able to, finish or join us during this actual live session, not a problem. You can watch this as a recording and post your works afterwards. Um, but for the people who are here in the live chat, you guys are lucky because we are going to have, again, as I've mentioned earlier, a giveaway at the end for an everyday sketchbook, the square ones. So really, really exciting. Of course. Oh, you're very much welcome. We also have a private Facebook group in case you guys are interested. So it's called Etchr Studio Fam, and it's a safe space for you guys to post your works, whichever part of the art journey you are in. So if you're a beginner, if you're an advanced learner, it's really just a safe space. And the people there are just warm and friendly. You can ask for feedback and all of that. So if you want to join, There are just two questions there. Really just takes 2 minutes of your time to answer. Just agreeing to the group rules. Just like a promise that you're gonna be, modest and kind to everyone. So, yeah. Okay, and I think Madeline is back.
Okay, so now I'm going to switch to another liner brush that I'm looking for right now. Okay. The one thing I really like about painting light is being able to use different colors to communicate when something's backlit. So I have, a few of the wispies right here that are sort of blurry and, makes it feel like they're kind of further back. And then now I'm going to grab the same yellow ochre that I used to paint my like sunspot. And I'm diluting it. And then I'm going to have, so say this one's like this angled. The part that's like in front of the sun is going to be more yellow. And then as I go down, it'll get darker.
Lovely. People are falling in love with this whole color palette thing. And then I've noticed that you mentioned the objects that are closer to the light,
Yeah.
that you kind of use the ochre, and then as you move along, it's still kind of we're moving in the same color palette, but this time with sort of a honey consistency for the paints, right?
Yes. So I kind of like squashed my line right there. So I just dabbed it. Even I paint all the time and I still make
Mm.
my fingers get across my paint brush strokes.
It does happen to everyone, and we appreciate you for showing that. It's really for artists to demo with us, and to do things live is such a brave thing to do because any mistakes is a vulnerable moment for them, and it's such an important aspect of art, and we really appreciate you showing that to us, so we can be brave about making art.
Yes. I make mistakes all the time. I'm going to switch over to a thinner brush.
If you guys have questions, feel free to let us know about the materials, the techniques, or about questions about Madeline. If you're curious about what she does such super amazing things on Instagram, which again, I'll drop the link for the newcomers as well. So here we go.
Thanks.
Oh, I love this. Angel said mistakes are a new door for creativity. I love that.
That it is. All right, let's see. I normally flip this upside down because it's easier to paint like downward strokes, but it's a little hard with the sketchbook and I didn't want to flip it on you guys. But if you, like for example, Scratch paper. I'm painting like kind of like upwards like this. And it isn't the most natural, but if you can actually flip your paper, and going down is a much more natural brush stroke, and you'll get those angles a little bit more easily. So if you can do that, that's what I would do. But since the sketchbook um, would look a little, it would be hard for me to move it.
Yeah, for sure. We totally understand. Thank you for doing that extra demo. Um, Somebody was asking about the materials you were using, so I think we can talk about the rigger brush a little bit. Do you often use it for especially these kinds of wispy um, subjects?
Yes, so rigger brushes or liner brushes, I have like so many. That's probably like the most, that's the brush that I have the most of. And I think it's just really great for painting details. Um, and fine lines. Another thought that I had when painting fine lines with liner brushes, you want the paint to be like pretty smooth. If it's too creamy, it'll be hard to kind of get a really fine line, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, totally get you. Yeah, I think we can all agree that we really need to get familiarized with our own materials as well. Um, Hey, interesting question about paints from Joey. What is your experience with handmade watercolors? Do they flow differently than conventional paints? Interesting question.
I love handmade paints. I paint almost exclusively with handmade paints. I would say in terms of like the difference between brand name and handmade, what I find to be the biggest factor is like what type of binder they use. So, I mean, I'm not an expert at this, but with paints, there's, the pigment powder and then whatever they use to bind that pigment to make into like whether it's a half pan or a tube. And so like the binding agent that they use a lot of times affects kind of like how creamy or how smooth the paint ends up being. And so I like handmade paints because a lot of times the makers that I like use like honey as the binder, and that makes the paints like flow really well. It makes them very creamy. Um, but I cannot say enough good things about my experience. If that answers any questions.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Thank you so much. Joey, let us know if you have follow-up question. We've got a question coming up again. What kind of brush is good for floral and natural painting subjects? I guess, what are your favorites?
So I don't paint florals, but I like, so Etchr has a set of watercolor brushes that I really like. I like Polina Bright brushes. I like Silver Brush Limited, I think. They have like black velvet brushes. And I also really like the brand Artify. So those are like my favorite brands.
Awesome. I noticed what they have in common is they keep their point.
Mhm.
All of those brushes, yeah. Okay. All right. Let us know if you guys are following along. We'd like to know. We've done such an amazing piece already that's all coming together in what we're live in 25 minutes, and you guys are able to make something like this every day. I mean, I can't imagine like what a collection you're gonna be making.
Just kind of putting on the final, I'll probably do like one more. And you don't, you could do like a few or a lot.
Yeah. Um, and feel free to leave kind words to Madeline. For sure, she'll go back to this live chat. And after this recording, the live chat replay is also going to be recorded. So yeah, we'll definitely see all of these comments. Hmm. Janet is mentioning she's trying to paint along rather, but the paper is too wet and it's spreading too far. So any words of advice, I guess?
So if your paper is a little too wet or you feel like the paint is moving a little bit too quickly, um, you could let the water kind of just like sink into the paper. With 100% cotton paper, sometimes you can like wait up to like a minute for the paper to like really get that water in it. If you see like kind of like puddles or like a sheen of water, then that's probably like a little bit too much water. And then you can just take your brush and sort of like pick up some of the excess water so that it's not moving too much. I'll do one more and
Thank you
then,
so much.
yeah.
So Angel's saying, I love how the plants look like the sun kissed using a different color. I love how you placed that. Yeah. Awesome. Color gradients, beautiful color gradients. Yeah, you absolutely can make um more color palette. And Madeline has been doing our experimenting with a lot of colors and landscape. So feel free to visit her Instagram as well for inspiration. Um, and feel free to tag her and Etchr as well if so that we can see your lovely works. Yeah, colors are superb. Awesome.
This will be my last one.
The ripples in the color give extra dimension, says Janet. Awesome. Yeah, that's a nice observation, Janet. Thank you. Hmm. Question, Madeline, where do you often get your inspiration photos? Is it mostly from photos you took or from free images online? Yeah.
Yeah, I like the website Unsplash. They are a copyright free resource where like a lot of photographers will upload, I paint landscape, so I like to, search like nature or sunlight. And I do try my best to like reference the photographer whenever I use a reference photo, but that's kind of my main source of inspiration. I do like to paint from reference photos. I don't always, but that's sort of like my preference. I always joke around with my friends that I've painted like 90% of Unsplash already.
Well, there's nothing wrong with I guess taking inspiration. That's totally cool. So yeah, just in case anyone is curious, feel free to look up free images online. I'm pretty sure there's like a couple of resources you guys can share. How long is this live? We are actually towards the end of this live. I believe Madeline is done, if I'm not
Yes, I
mistaken.
am. Yes, I am.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. We're all done. So wow, that was pretty fast. I agree with Divya. She's saying wow. Painting is superb. Awesome. Yeah. And if Madeline can do that in less than an hour and less than 30 minutes, you guys can definitely do that as well. So no excuse. Um, all right. So we're gonna bring us back here so that you guys can see us. And it is now time for our the promised giveaway at the end. So I know you guys are also excited there. So Madeline's using our Etchr sketchbook, but we're gonna be giving away our everyday sketchbook. So these are the ones that are in white covers that you can customize and paint. Um, I I know for a fact I always paint mine so that it doesn't get lost. And yeah, thank you for showing it as Madeline. Simple and beautiful. Awesome. All right. So for the mechanics of the giveaway, don't type any numbers just yet, but I will be writing a number here. Oops. Okay, from 1 to 50. So don't type anything in the chat yet. The rules are once I type the word go, you're going to be typing in, you have 15 seconds to type in your guesses of what the number I will write here in this piece of paper. And then after 15 seconds is done, I'm going to type the word stop. And all of those entries in between the word go and stop that I've typed in are the only entries that will be considered. And so I am going to be writing a number right now. So I am writing it down, and then I have not typed in the word go yet, so don't type any number just yet. I'm folding that, holding up in the screen, and we've got 15 seconds, and 3, 2, 1, go. 50, 1 to 50. Okay. All right, and while we're waiting, Madeline, I think someone was asking earlier about how you arrived with watercolors instead of like other mediums like acrylics, oils. How did it speak to you?
So I got into watercolor because my friend actually gifted me Let's Make Art by Etchr Lab, like a watercolor kit for my birthday during the pandemic. And then I just started painting with watercolor and I sort of stuck with it because I loved it. I have tried like acrylic and gouache. Um, but yeah, I always come back to watercolor.
Awesome. I guess the fluidity was something that spoke to you. All right, and while Madeline was typing in, I typed in two words, stop. So you've noticed that if you get back, I typed in two stops because in the first one nobody got it, but in the second run somebody got the exact number. So we are going to consider this person who guessed the right number. All right, so I'm just going to open the number right here. Da, 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 da. And it's, oops, I'm done. Number 11. And the person who got it is Catherine Riley. So Catherine, okay, I'm gonna pin your message. Congratulations, Catherine. And you are the winner of the Etchr Everyday Sketchbook of your choice. So we have two sizes, the 8-inch and the 6-inch one. Feel free to message us at hello@Etchr Studio, studio.com. There we go. To claim your prize. And no worries if you guys aren't able to win prizes. No worries. We have like a lot of giveaways and promos coming up on our Instagram if you've noticed. So yeah, feel free to follow us as well at Etchr_Lab. So that you can stay tuned with all of these prompts, art prompts, giveaways, promos that we offer. So yeah, congratulations again, Catherine. So yeah, with that being said, thank you so much again, Madeline, for this such an amazing live demo. It was really productive for a short amount of time. Any last thoughts before we sadly have to close the session?
Me or everyone
Yes.
else.
Any
Oh,
inspiring words or message for the people in the chat?
My biggest inspir or like advice is to paint with the colors that inspire you. So rather than um, finding like a subject to paint with, obviously you want to paint what you like to paint, but definitely don't be afraid to paint outside of the normal colors that we see our world. Like I love pinks and purples, and you don't always see pink grass. So, but definitely don't be afraid to play around. There's so many colors, and I love playing with color.
Thank you so much. All right. And yeah, what a fun way to think about art and make art. Because most often the subjects as well, we get too restricted with that. But Madeline here is teaching us to be fun and playful with your colors. So thank you so much for teaching that to us today, Madeline, and for chilling with us. And thank you guys for being so enthusiastic even before our live. So we really appreciate you staying with us. And congratulations again, Catherine. Until next time, everybody, make more art. Bye for now.
Bye.
There we go. Congratulations.